Hey, are you ready for your money story? Today's story is how I met Amanda, and it starts with me on a trip to the emergency room. Bop-bop-ba-doo-ba-dop-ba-doo. Man, are my arms tired. Woo! Chris Provost. Okay, so a long time ago, my heart has this little funny thing about it. Every once in a while, it would just randomly beat weird, real fast, like accelerated, like, and that was it. And it would happen like every once in 3 weeks or something, and it just, like I'd be like in work doing a presentation or like walking around, also my heart's like, and it'd catch me off guard, I'd feel it, I'm like, oh, that felt a little weird, and then it'd go away. I didn't really think that much of it. And it started becoming more and more frequent, right? And I got a little worried, but I was like, not to the point where I'm gonna go to the doctor, right? I mean, right guys, we never go to the doctor, there's no reason. I mean, my body basically is like, I'm not going to the doctor, right? It starts happening more and more frequently. I'm getting a little worried about it, but I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. Then one Saturday morning, I wake up and it's nonstop. It's like, it's just going crazy, right? And so I'm panicking and I feel a little lightheaded. I'm like, I can't drive. So I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, you gotta come over here and take me to the emergency room. My mom rushes over, she grabs me, we go to the emergency room and they hook me up to all these machines and they're like monitoring my heart. And the ER doc comes in and he's like, yep. He's like, there's some type of like irregular heartbeat, a little arrhythmia going along. I don't know. He's like, it's kind of whatever it is, because we want to run some tests. So I want you to meet with this specialist next Tuesday. And he's like, bring some running shorts and your running shoes. And I was like, check, running shorts, running shoes. So next Tuesday happens, and I go to this doctor's appointment, and I'm in like my running shorts and my running shoes, and they hook me up to all these electrodes. I mean, they're like all over my body. They have like this weird green gel they're putting all over my body. These electrodes are like, just going like this. They got like this big arms thing on my arm, like my pressure regulator, whatever that is, checking everything. And they're like, okay, it's time for you to get on this treadmill. We're gonna start running. And I'm like, okay. They're like, now every 30 seconds, the treadmill's gonna get a little bit faster, just a little bit faster, and then every 30 seconds it'll be a little bit faster, and then it's gonna start to incline. And what we want you to do is we want you to keep running for as long as you can. I mean, go as long as you absolutely can. I'm like, okay, got it, as long as I can. And then you hand me this button. Like, when it gets to the point where you can no longer go, and you just like, you can't go anymore, you push the button, and the machine's gonna stop, and we're gonna move you over onto this table, and we're gonna monitor your heart with no cool down to see what happens, how your heart handles that. And I'm like, okay. So I get on the treadmill and I start running. It's kind of slow. It's like a little walking pace. And there's just this nurse in there with me. And she's like watching me, and all of a sudden, beep, goes a little bit faster. So I'm like kind of moving a little bit faster, and then beep, it's a little bit faster, beep, a little bit faster, and then it starts inclining, right? And this nurse is watching this paper printouts coming out. It's like my heart rate's on it, and she's like watching it. And I'm going along, and I get about 9 minutes into this. And it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. About 9 minutes, all of a sudden she gets over and she gets on the intercom and she calls Dr. Thackeray. She's like, Dr. Thackeray, come here quickly. Well, Dr. Thackeray comes walking in, and he's watching me, and about like 10 and a half minutes at that point. And I'm going, and I'm like thinking about quitting. And he's like watching me, and he's like, you're doing good, Chris, keep going, keep going. And all of a sudden he says, don't stop, Chris, keep going. And he leaves and comes back in, and now there's like 3 doctors there, and they're all watching me on this machine. And I'm about like 11 and a half minutes, and I'm like, and it's like my feet are like, and I'm like running as fast as I can, and I'm like dying, like, and the 2 doctors are back there like 2 little schoolgirls. They're like talking like, and the 3rd doctor, he's just standing there. He's like watching. He doesn't say a word. He's not even looking at the other 2 doctors, right? But those 2 doctors, they're like talking like this. And I get to like 12 and a half minutes, and they're talking louder and louder and louder. And even the nurse is like watching me. And the one doctor's like, you're doing great, Chris. Keep going. And I'm like going as fast as I can. I get to 13 minutes, and it's like a frenzy in the room, right? Those 2 doctors are like just like looking. They keep looking at the clock and looking at me, looking at the clock, looking at me. And I'm like going, and the one doctor's like gives me like the thumbs up. Well, that other doctor, the one that doesn't say anything, he's just standing there. He's like looking at me with like, I can feel like whatever is going on, something's wrong with my heart, because he's super concerned when he's looking at me. All of a sudden it goes to 14 minutes, and I get to about 14 minutes and like 11 seconds, and I can't go. I'm like done. I push the button. They put me on the table, and I'm cooling down, and the 3 doctors just leave. They leave the room, right? And I'm like breathing super heavy. I'm like, am I okay? Am I dying? And the nurse is like watching the spool, watching my heart rate, and she's like just watching it. And I finally get to my breath. I'm like, is it okay? Does my heart look okay? And she's like, yeah, your heart looks great. I'm like, okay, good. And then all of a sudden I realize this. I'm like, wait a minute, something's weird here. I turned to the nurse. I'm like, wait a minute, am I doing okay? And the nurse is like, you're doing fine. And I was like, would you tell me if I wasn't? And she gets this panic look on her face, and she's like, we're instructed to always tell the patients they're doing fine. And I was like, okay. She goes, but if it was something really severe, the second this is done, they would take you into a doctor's office for a consult. She goes, but I'm just looking at everything. Everything's fine. I don't expect that to happen. I'm like, okay, phew, all right, okay, good. I kind of cool down. They unhook me from the machines, and eventually the nurse comes back in, and she's like, the doctor wants to have a consult with you in his office. And I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, nods. I'm like, you said, and she's like, well, he just said he wanted to speak with you. And now my heart is elevating back up again. I'm like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. I get in this doctor's office, and it's this doctor like Thackeray, and he sits down with me, and he's like, hey, I just want you to say that was amazing. You did a great job. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so here's the thing. He's like, the record in the hospital was 13 minutes and 56 seconds. And it was held by Dr. Black. That's the one guy in there that was watching. And you beat that record. You got 14 minutes and 11 seconds. And you beat that record. And Dr. Black is pissed. Nobody's ever beat his record, and we were so glad that you beat his record. We're so glad. It was awesome. It was great news. So we just want you to know, thank you for beating his record. And it's like, and off the record, Dr. Black says he's coming back next week to try to beat your record, but there's no way he'll be able to do that. And I'm like, what the freak is going on? And then the doctor's like, oh, and he's like, just so you know, everything looks normal with your heart. There is a little bit of arrhythmia in it. He goes, but I'm going to probably chalk that up to stress. So let me ask you a few questions. He's like, so are you in a relationship? I was like, no. He's like, okay. He's like, you work a lot. I'm like, yes. He's like, what about exercising? I'm like, periodically. He's like, are you a swimmer? I'm like, no. He goes, weird. He goes, you have a lot of lung capacity. He's like, most swimmers have most swimmers develop that, so I would have thought you were a swimmer. He's like, that's probably why you could run for so long. And I'm like nodding. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and my heart? He goes, your heart's healthy, it's fine. He goes, it's probably the stress that we're talking about. He goes, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to go on a vacation. And I'm like, okay. He goes, I want you to go on vacation and totally detach, untether from work, have some fun, just enjoy it. I want you to kind of just keep exercising a little bit. And he goes, I think that would probably take care of everything, just get rid of the stress from your life. So go on a vacation. And he literally got his little pad out and wrote, like those little prescription pads. He's like, go on a vacation. Vacay. And he hands me a sheet of paper. It's like, okay, go on your vacation, have a really good time. And he's like, I think that should probably take care of it. And I'm like, okay. So I went out and I planned a vacation. And that is when I met Amanda. So I'm going to tell that part of the story next week. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I really, really love your support. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe right up here. Every Monday, I tell a new story. Every Wednesday, I tell a new joke. And next Monday, you're going to hear the part on the vacation when I met Amanda. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.